Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, and there's been a lot of interesting news today. I guess we could start with the Supreme Court ruling on the situation with the Texas border. A ruling of 5-4. I want to say that the numbers in that 5-4, whatever it happens to be, they don't really mean anything. The court is probably more or less unanimous, but they'll side with each other on different things to make it look like they're not. But I don't think that their ruling is necessary. Well, anyway, we can get into that. The biggest thing that I've seen besides that, because I think maybe not the biggest thing, but another large bit of news was this recorded audio of, I guess, the Republican Party, the person in charge of the Republican Party out there in Arizona, trying to bribe Carrie Lake to get her not to run. There's a lot about that I would like to discuss. Anyway, we're going to be talking more about that coming up in just a second, so stick around. One last bit of caffeine tonight. I tell you, I'm going to need it. So I was originally set to do the show at 10 o'clock, but once I realized my son was probably not going to be getting to sleep in time to make that realistic, I, of course, had to switch it last minute to get it so that I would actually be prepared. And I'm kind of glad that I did. Hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. I had a lot of this equipment disconnected earlier and managed to get it all connected. But anyway, before we get too far, as always, I do need to encourage each of you to join in the conversation. If you happen to be catching us live, share your thoughts in the live chat or by leaving your comments down below if you're catching it after the fact. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on future live streams and videos that we put up. And also, don't forget there's a like button down there. There's also a thumbs down. You can hit either one. I'll take whatever I can get. Of course, again, leave a comment if you do give it a thumbs down to let me know exactly why you disagree with what we're doing here. And without further delay, let's go ahead and get into this. So, as I've been hearing all of this news, I was reminded of something a long time ago. It's not even really like an important memory or an important event. I guess it feels important now because of the plainness of it, but I thought back to a long time ago. I was riding with my grandpa in the car, and I think we were on our way to hear some Christmas music, believe it or not, by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. And I just remember, I would have been a really little kid at the time. I just remember looking out the window at the Christmas lights. And today, as I was hearing all of this news coming out, I thought back to that and how simple things used to be. I mean, my grandpa, in my life, I've kind of see him as like a symbol of everything that you should be. I know that nobody is perfect, but he was always kind of a symbol of someone who's a really strong person, somebody who does the right thing no matter what. And he's no longer with us, of course, but I've always thought of that. And I guess hearing about all these things taking place, it kind of made me think of that, and back to an earlier time, maybe when we naively thought that we really did live in a democracy and we had freedom and things that are worth fighting for, and they certainly are worth fighting for. And the people of his generation fought quite hard for those freedoms for the entire world and not just the United States in World War II. He would have been part of the greatest generation, as they call them. And then today we find ourselves faced with the reality that we do not live in any form of democracy. I know people will argue back and forth, well, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. I don't think that we live in either one. There is no democracy here. There is no republic here. I guess you're represented, kind of, but they don't take your wishes or your interests or what's best for you into consideration in anything that they do. Of course, what I'm referring to here is this leaked audio of a conversation that Carrie Lake had where the person in charge of the Republican Party in Arizona is telling her to take enormous amounts of money, possibly, to stay out of the race so that they can do whatever. And they have these people back east, as it's referred to, that are willing to pay enormous amounts of money to tell someone to stay out of the race so they can get things to go their way. As I was listening to that, I thought, in this case, how often is it like this? When I was in China, I used to hear stories about, bribery or different forms of corruption, and I would joke around and say, that would never happen in the United States. We, as a culture, reject that sort of thing. It just wouldn't happen. Sure, there's maybe a couple individuals here and there that have some corruption going on or are not good people, but as a whole, in general, we don't live in a corrupt society. And now I hear about this sort of thing, and this is just the latest to come out, and I think to myself, that's not true. How long has it not been true? I don't know, but clearly we do not live in any form of a democracy, and we certainly don't have a government that represents our interests, or I would say the interests of anyone on the planet. Because the idea of freedom is to lift all people out of, poverty or out of whatever, at least to give them a chance. And I don't think that they have that in mind. In fact, I think they look at all of us and think that we are not deserving of any sort of freedom or any nice things. The United States has, again, been a place that has been held up as, we have lots of nice things here. We live at a higher standard of living. And that is being torn down constantly as we speak. And I think that this just makes it so much clearer after seeing that. It's a rigged system. There's no way around it. I don't know if it's just absolutely laughable at this point for anyone to believe that it's not totally corrupt. Like I said, I don't know how long it's been this way. But I guess that somehow Donald Trump snuck through when the people managed to get somebody through. And whoever it is that's doing this, some people will call it the deep state. Some people say the establishment. Whatever it is, whatever this shadow group that's behind the scenes running things, whatever they are, they decided after that they would make sure that would never happen again. They've openly spoken about it in magazine articles, and they're talking about doing it again. And my thoughts on this are that we need to take the system back for the people somehow. We need to get the people's choice back into the White House and then drive these people out of government once and for all and restore this country to what it's supposed to be. So that my son and your kids and everyone that comes after can have a chance, at least, at having freedom and if you want to call it democracy, republicanism, whatever it is, so that they can actually experience it, so that it can be what it's supposed to be. What our founding fathers fought and died to make sure that it would be, what the people went and fought in World War II and every other war that we've fought, the very thing that they always invoke, freedom, so that they didn't fight in vain. Because I sure hate the thought of what it is right now when I hear about that 30 million, talking about enormous amounts of money, and then going as far as to say, like, don't tell anybody because then my car might blow up. Now, I don't know what else to say other than this is a big fraud, what we're living in right now. And every time I hear these people say, to save democracy or threat to democracy, it's like we don't even live in a democracy. That just and I'm not even talking about it because everybody's going to start, well, it's a republic. No, I mean we don't even live in that. I don't know what this is, but it's none of those things. And we need to, but we do need to make sure that we get it back to that. Let me see what's going on in the comments here. and see see what's going on. Mutant Riff, you should sell the Chinese caps with Red Star. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. I've got my hat here somewhere. Let me see if I can grab it. It's on the floor somehow. My son must have been up here playing. There it is. Yeah, my yeah, there we go. Back to old days. Oh, I just goofed up my hair, but I don't know how popular of an item that would be, but yeah, I could sell that. I should. Somebody had suggested once upon a time that I make hats with the white star on them instead. You know, the symbol for the army here. Maybe that's a good idea, but I don't know what to think of everything that's going on right now. Sometimes I feel like, these people, they like to think of themselves as Maoists or something like that. They would have been torn down in Mao's revolution. They would have been jet-planed. And I don't know what to make of it. I'm confused when I look around and I see everything that's happening, and I don't see anyone rising up to challenge. I guess they have some pretty sophisticated systems out there to make sure that nobody can organize and nobody can do anything to challenge them. Let me see. Mutant Riff, I live in a state that has the communist red star on the state flag, California. Yeah, I think they had the red star before the communists took it. But, yeah, that red star. Oh, man. Let's see. Yeah, tax slaves, every other kind of... I think, the entire system is a total joke at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Paying your taxes, yeah, we pay the taxes, we do all the stuff, but... we've been willing to do that because we believed in a system that didn't exist. And now I think that we're all waking up and realizing that, where is this money coming from that they're talking about bribing people to not run? Where is that money coming from? Is that coming from the government? Is that where our tax money is going? I would hate to think of what it's doing in Ukraine or anywhere else that they're sending the money. I mean, if they're that corrupt... what wouldn't they do with that money? I would hate to think of what they would do. We like to think of, I guess, these people, the super elites, as we discussed last time. We like to think of them as at least having a basis in our reality and the way that we look at the world, our morals, our background, and I don't think that they do. I think that they live in their own world. So to speak, where our morals don't apply. And it's kind of scary, but I believe that that has kind of been revealed in all of this. Let's see. I see Constitutional Carpenter, and there's a conversation there. All the Boomer John Lennon fans would buy one of those. Ah, man. Maybe I should sell them. I don't know. I don't even know where you would get something like that. I picked that hat up years and years ago at a tourist place in Beijing. I can't remember. I think it was outside of a temple of all places. I remember where I got that. So way back in the day when I was living in Beijing, my friends and I went on this adventure. We lived in a part of the city called Feng Tai, and it to us it was just like whatever. It's part of the city. People in Beijing said it's the most Chinese part of the city, and that wasn't a good thing. I mean, being Chinese isn't bad, but to them what it meant was it's like sort of a countryside. It wasn't in the countryside, it's in the middle of the city, but a lot of workers come there. It's just not as fancy as other parts of the city. But anyway, we were looking online, and it turns out there's this Marco Polo bridge. And, so they're talking about, I'm like, what do you mean the Marco Polo bridge? And it's like, oh, yeah, it's the same bridge that Marco Polo described when he came to China way back when. And, it's got all this history. Anyway, we went to go see that, and it was on that same little journey that I picked that up. My friend at the time, he's a hardcore, I don't know what he is now, but at the time he was very much into communism. And it led to some interesting conversations back and forth, because obviously I am not communist and see things very differently, but we were good friends just the same. He bought Mao's little red book, and I bought the hat, and it was quite an adventure anyway. So, I don't know if anybody would really be interested in buying the hats, but you never know. Maybe, like you said, some of these older generation John Lennon fans or something like that, they might be interested in it. You never know. Somebody would probably buy it. I'll just sell it on Amazon. Let's see, Mutant Riff again. Let's see. They make great gifts to family that are on the left. Yeah. Hey, glad to see you there in Utah, Renee McRae. Utah's a beautiful place, by the way, if anyone ever gets a chance to go out there. Beautiful country. I miss it sometimes. There's a lot of open space once you get outside of Salt Lake. And even in Salt Lake, you've got the city up there against the mountains, but then it just has plains and stuff. It's really beautiful, all parts of the place. Now, I guess we can talk about this this decision by the Supreme Court. So as I was kind of hopeful that maybe they would side somehow on with Texas, but they didn't. The ruling, as I said, was 5-4 in favor of the federal government, and deciding that Texas needs to allow the federal government to come back in and continue destroying infrastructure that the state of Texas has been building in order to protect our national sovereignty. It's another crazy thing that we have to be faced with here, to watch our own government undermining national sovereignty and national security, and winning in the courts to do it. Now, I'm not going to get mad at the court on this one. Their job is to interpret the law. So it's not about whether it's right or wrong that the government is tearing down the fence. What their ruling is more about is that, the federal government has jurisdiction over that, not the state of Texas. And so they have to back down. Now, the worry is the part that really worries me here is that Texas is not backing down. I saw a tweet from the governor of Texas saying that they weren't going to back down on protecting and maintaining the infrastructure that they've been building there. I guess referring to the razor wire and the fences and trailers that they put up to try and keep people from coming across the border. And I look at that and I see a Fort Sumter moment. For those of you who aren't as familiar with American history, that was the first shooting that took place in the American Civil War back in 1861, I believe it was, when the federal government refused to leave Fort Sumter. The state of South Carolina told them to get out. They had their militia, which would be the predecessor of the National Guard. And when the federal government, the federal troops refused to give up the fort, they opened fire and eventually took the fort. And that was, I guess, for a lot of people, they say that was the beginning of the Civil War. I see a situation like that forming. The Texans, they have the National Guard in place to protect their position, and you have the federal government on the other side. My concern here is that maybe they are trying to bring about a conflict. That does worry me a lot. I think that we should all be watching Texas very closely to see how this develops, because even if you don't think that it's a big deal, it really is a big deal. This I guess we have to see which way Texas goes. I'm hoping that in this case, we're so close to the election. I know it seems like it's pretty far away. We have to wait until November. But I don't want to see any sort of trouble before that. I would like to see if we can get the People's Choice back into the White House before we come to that point, and let the other side do whatever it is that they think they're going to do at that point. But I'm hoping that we don't have trouble before then. It sounds crazy. It all sounds so crazy. But we're living in a crazy world right now, and you never know what could happen. I remember all throughout the last year or so, Texas has been talking about, putting things in law to allow them to secede from the union if, such and such or this and that. And it all seems to be coming to a point now, and it's really concerning. What is Texas going to do? How would that unfold? Would the people in the National Guard actually... what if the federal government did send troops or something in to, I guess at that point it would be a sort of insurrection, if you would want to call it that. It's crazy that we find ourselves in this place. But here we are just the same. And I think that, like I said, we really need to keep our eyes on what's happening and pay attention, because it's more serious maybe than what it seems. I don't know. Let me see. Constitutional Carpenter. The federal government should have authority. However, securing the border from foreign threat is kind of the first and foremost reason to even have a federal government. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. The federal government is failing on purpose. In fact, this is where it gets so crazy. So the federal government is actually breaking the law. They are facilitating what's happening. They are tearing down our defenses and helping to traffic people. It's so bizarre and so out of normal, I guess, that it's hard to even fathom what's going on. And they can get away with it because they have jurisdiction over the border. So that's where we're running into trouble, because, of course, the people in Texas want to stop what's happening. They see the law is being broken, but now that the court has ruled, they're really powerless to do anything about it. I don't know what we do at this point. I really don't know what the solution is, other than to get the right people back into government and to, push all of these people out. That's what we need to do. That we need to clean up the government. I don't even know if it's possible. I don't think, I'll be honest, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to willingly leave government. Clearly, they're willing to do almost anything to hold on to power and to continue whatever it is that they have been doing. So I don't know what's going to happen. It sounds crazy, the thought of maybe they would even go as far as assassinating, if they can't get Trump to not be on the ballot, if they can't stop him from winning the election, who knows what they would do. It sounds crazy. But at this point, after hearing that conversation with Carrie Lake, I don't know what I would put past them. I have no idea how far this would go. It's just absolutely terrifying in a way to see this all taking place. Let's see. It's the writing is on the wall. Get your passports. Yes, I've got my passport. I was thinking about that earlier, actually. How in a way, I wish that I was in China. I do. I know, it's like a communist country and they have no freedoms or whatever you want to say, but I know what to expect there. I know what I can and cannot say. I know what I can do and can't do. And at least I know that the government has the interest. I mean, they're not going to mess things up. Their goal is to have things work normally. In our country, for whatever reason, the government seems hell-bent on destroying everything. They have taken everything that has been good in our society and twisted it. It's just like, let me give an example. I don't know how much conspiring takes place between the people in Hollywood and the people that are in the government right now, but literally everything that has been good has been taken and twisted into something awful. Star Wars is a perfect example. Look at the stuff that they're putting out now. Look at what they've done. They take these things that have been, they're like a national treasure. Star Wars, however you feel about it, I mean, that was a pretty amazing story. That was a pretty amazing thing that we had as a culture, and they have managed to take hold of it and twist it into some kind of awful thing. Disney itself, this is something that's very American. Supposedly, our values and that sort of thing. It's sort of like a safe place that people could go. I know safe places, safe spaces. On the right side of things, we look down on that sort of a phrase, but you think about it as a place of safety that you could go to with your kids or your family. You can turn on a Disney movie or something like that, and you don't have to worry. Yeah, I know there were animators that hid things in there, but for the most part, that was a safe place to go. Now, you don't know what's going to be in those movies. I was on the Disney app. This was a couple of years ago, and there was a movie on there that I'd never heard of. So I'm playing it for my son, and it's like these little kids, and all of a sudden, the kid, it's like 5 minutes of just one kid talking about how attracted he is to another kid, two boys, and I'm thinking, what is this? What in the world is going on here? Why is this in a kids movie? Anyway, I turned it off. We've never turned that one back on, but literally they've taken every good thing and destroyed it. Look what they've done to the NFL. Look what they've done to basketball. Every place that you can go to escape from whatever it is that's happening in the world, to find some sanity, it's been taken and twisted in some weird way to where you can't have it anymore. They've destroyed all of them. And it's remarkable where we find ourselves. And now, we find out the very things that we hold most dear as Americans when it comes to freedom and democracy, if you want to call it that, they have been taken away as well. And that's where we find ourselves. Let's see. We can't put new people in government when it's corrupt. That's the thing. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll see. I don't see how they can possibly win in the next election. I know there's been a lot of talk about Michelle Obama coming into the race or something like that. No, the moment she opens her mouth, it'll be the end for any possibility for her getting anywhere. The moment she speaks, I guess they could try to do what they did with Biden and just make sure that she never actually speaks or talks to anybody. But believe me, that's not going to work either. I don't see how they can stop the momentum that Donald Trump has at this point. I don't think people are going to trust them again. So I guess we'll see what happens with this election. I hope that nothing bad happens before that. People are talking about war. People are talking about all these things that might come up. Disease X has been going around the internet lately. I don't know, but it is very concerning to see. Let's see. Mike Malone, we need F-15s like Biden said. Hey, you may not realize this, but your state very likely has fighter jets of its own that do not belong to the federal government. They belong to the state. You do have a National Guard, believe it or not. That's, George Bush, who a lot of people probably like, George Bush. I bring him up because he flew for the National Guard, I believe, in Texas. So, yeah, they do have that stuff. It's not like they don't have things. So whatever Biden's saying, if a state, let's say Texas, did decide we're breaking away, it's not like they don't have anything. If a number of states, it's not like what you think. They do have their own sort of little military in a way. Let's see. After Renee McRae, after what they did in Lahaina, I wouldn't put anything past them. Yeah, that's another thing. I've never seen any answers about what exactly happened with Lahaina and the fires. I know they did a lot of crazy stuff after the fact and before the fact and during. I haven't seen a lot on that, but certainly, you can't put your trust. Even if the government was full of people that were good and well-intentioned, you cannot put your trust in something like that completely because it's going to fail. Don't ever give, for heaven's sake, they're telling you can't go this way, you can't go that way, and they were wrong. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same with school. We've had that revealed to us. There's a lot of crazy teachers out there that push crazy things on your kids. You can't be naive. You can't just let your kids go to school and think that they're going to be okay or they're going to be, don't put your most important things in the trust of the government and think that everything is going to turn out all right. You've got to really watch. You've got to pay attention. Let's see. Look what they've done to our Constitution. Fortunately, the Constitution is still intact. They just don't care about it. That's the thing that's going on. Just like with the border, they're supposed to be upholding the law, and instead they're actually helping people and breaking the law themselves. They have no respect for the law. They don't care about the Constitution. And I don't know how we're supposed to stop them or, if there's any sort of penalty involved. It doesn't seem that there is. The Supreme Court rules, and then it's like, well, whatever, we're still going to do it. It's like Biden's thing about forgiving student loan debt. Boy, he keeps bringing that up. They've ruled over and over again, you can't do that, you can't do that. And still, he continues to bring it up. It's like it doesn't matter. Whatever, the Supreme Court hasn't got any teeth. They can't do anything. And maybe Texas feels that way right now, too. Like, okay, the Supreme Court said, you have jurisdiction. Well, what are they going to do? Who are they going to send? They don't have anybody. So the federal government's going to have to do something, I guess. But it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, democracy has become democracy. Like I said, I don't know when we lost democracy. I don't know when the last time someone that the people actually wanted to be in the White House, for example, has been in the White House. I don't know how many people that are in Senate and the House actually care or do anything. I don't know how many of them are bought. If they're willing to pay that amount of money to Carrie Lake to get her to not run, what are they paying people to get them to go and just take part in the corruption? Whatever you need. Like they're trying to tell her, like, oh, just take a couple years and you can do, have a voice. It's like the voice that I have, you would hope that it would be a voice that would be against those things, the very things that they're trying to. I don't want a voice from these people. That's not what I want. I'm glad that she said in the recording, that she couldn't look at herself in the mirror if she went along with something like that. I hope that that's true of some other people that we hold in high regard in office. But how many of them actually get through that really mean anything and really believe what they're doing? How many of them are real? I don't know. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of people that would just bow out for that amount of money, just not do anything. Maybe not necessarily do evil, but just they'll do evil by not doing anything to help, to stop the evil, I guess is what I mean. Mike Malone, we're a republic. I don't think that we're even a republic at this point. I don't think that those people in Washington represent us. I don't think that they do. I don't know who they represent, but it's certainly not the people. We haven't mattered for a long time. So, yeah, republic, democracy, whatever you want to call it, we're not that. We're not any of those things. It's all a fake facade, and this just kind of lets us look through. It's like the facade is cracking, and we're seeing into the heart of whatever this thing is. And it's not what it appeared to be on the outside. This has to change. I don't know what it's going to take. Like I said, maybe this is a start. If we can just get somebody in office that the people want, maybe we can. But I think they're going to put up one heck of a fight. And I don't know what is going to happen to the country as a result of that. But I don't want to live in a pretend world. I certainly don't want to just bury my head in the sand and pretend like everything is going to be all right when they're hell-bent on destroying. I mean, look what they're doing in the name of this of climate change. They want you gone. They see us as the problem. The people that are supposed to be representing us, they see us as a problem. It's terrible. That has to change. That has to change. And yeah, like I said, republic, democracy, we're not either of those. We're none of that because it's all just a big sham. Let's see, Mutant Riff. It is now fundamentally impossible to get 7.62 ammo, or you are paying outrageous prices. Now, where is that coming from? Why is ammunition so scarce all of a sudden? Who's buying it up? I guess maybe they're buying it up and sending it to Ukraine. How convenient. How convenient. Let's see, Mike Malone. So get us out the United Nations. I wish that would help. The United Nations is a joke. It's just another level of corruption. They don't do anything. I'm sure that we've all heard the stories of the debauchery and the horrible things that happen whenever the peacekeeping troops move into a place. It's a total joke. It's nothing but a bunch of corruption. But us getting out of it, I don't know what that would actually do for anybody. I guess it would hurt their efforts. I guess, if they're doing all these horrible things that they've been reported to have been doing, then at least we can make it harder for them to do that. I wish that they would go away, that they would cease to exist. It is not fulfilling its charter. It's not doing what it was intended to do, to protect world peace. Instead, it's making things a lot worse. It's certainly not helping individual people. Tim Bailey, a broken republic. Cliche, but it begins at home. All politics are local. Yeah, even the politics local, I mean, that's another place where the corruption has gone unchecked because nobody's really been paying attention to local politics for quite some time. So that, everybody talks about the George Soros people getting into like the Attorney General's office and that sort of thing, district attorney. Yeah, that's a major problem. Police chiefs, sheriffs, these are important people, and a lot of bad apples have managed to get in. And I'm not sure, I guess now people are paying a little bit more attention, but there's just so many things going on to distract us. It's like the UFO stuff, Of course, they're going to have all this UFO stuff coming out now, Oh, maybe the government's got bodies and spaceships. Maybe. Just don't pay attention to all this other corruption that's taking place. Maybe someday we can get to the bottom of that as well, but it's just absolutely crazy. Let's see. I find it hard to believe the ones running for office are the best we have. We need some real leaders to step up. Or are they being held back? Well, I think that this situation with Carrie Lake kind of shows exactly what's happened. People that they feel challenged by, or that they feel are a problem, or that could lead to, trouble for them, they simply come in and offer them enormous amounts of money, or threaten them in some way. In her case, they're willing to pay tens of millions of dollars. I guess that's nothing to them. But you have somebody coming up in the ranks, maybe that, like I said, presents a challenge or a problem to these super elitists or whatever they are, the people in behind the scenes, and they just come out of the wood. Somebody that they trust, like in this case, it's the person in charge of the Republican Party in the state, comes to the person and tells them, "Hey, the people back east told me to." Offer you enormous amounts of money to take a break for a while. And then after that, you can have a real voice for change. I think that probably happens quite a bit. And too many people are just willing to take the money and say, okay, I'll take, I don't know how they justify it in their minds. Maybe they're thinking like, live to fight another day, something along those lines, but it's certainly not helping us. I'm glad that somebody had a brain to record that conversation and get it out. That's absolutely crazy. But there's your answer right there. Yeah, they're being held back. And anyone else, I feel like the good people, the ones that you would want to be in charge, that you would want to be in government, they don't want to be in government. I imagine that they look at it and they see all of this stuff going on. There's a bunch of sleaze, like, well, I don't really want to be associated with that. Government is kind of repugnant. I don't want to be involved in that. And they don't want to get it, so you don't get the good people going in. Maybe we need to tell people, or, at this point, I don't know how you would get through to somebody, but to tell them, hey, you just make a sacrifice for your country and get involved, whatever it is, because we need good people to be in government. We need to change it so that it's not the sleaze or whatever it is that we have right now. But that's why we don't get good people, because they're not interested. They don't want to play that game. And that's what a lot of this is, like with Carrie Lake and what they showed there. You play the game to get ahead. You want to have a voice? You want to be somebody? Then you got to take the money. You got to take the bribe and sit it out this time. You got to play ball. And they just don't want to be a part of that. And, I guess somehow Donald Trump got through. But, a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. There are plenty of people that feel like he's not exactly the best representative for the people. But as far as I'm concerned, if he's the one that they don't like, then maybe that's the one I just want to send something in there to just to let them know, like, hey, we are going to send our person into the White House, whether you like it or not. And you can just get out, because this needs to be a democracy or a republic, whatever you want to, a democratic republic. Hopefully not like the Democratic People's Republics. that we see around. Let's see, Mike Malone, constitutional sheriffs and police chiefs. Yeah, it's really important, but you can get, I don't know, you have to really know what's going on. You have to really get to know the people that are running and make sure you're voting for the right people, because anybody can talk a good talk, but get to know your local politicians and what's going on. If you know people that are good people, maybe encourage them to do some public service by getting involved in government so that we can, get rid of the corrupt people. I was amazed when I was looking at the elections here. There are a lot of positions where the person gets into office because they're uncontested. It's not, there's not someone from the other side running, so they just get in. A lot of that is happening in your local government. There are people that just run, and because there's nobody else going into the position, they get it. It's as simple as that. Maybe we need to start encouraging people. If you know someone that you think is a good leader, that's a good person with good morals and believes in, doing the right thing, maybe encourage them. Maybe encourage them to go get involved so that we can get some good people in government. Even if it's at the lower levels, even if it's, local, something, there's more of a chance than you think for someone to get in at that level. So maybe we can start to make a change. And if they're a good person, maybe they can rise through the ranks. You never know. Look at Pete Buttigieg. He's not a good person, but, he got all the way up to transportation secretary or whatever. You never know. You never know. Maybe in a good government, that would be something good. But right now, he's another example of what makes government absolutely disgusting and repugnant to people that have any sort of morals. It's just terrible to look at everything that's happening here. Let's see, how long have I been talking on here? 42 minutes. My goodness, I wonder how long this camera is going to keep going. I had a plug for it, but I have left it in China. At least half of the plug I left in China. So I'm unable to use it. I meant to order one on Amazon a while ago, but for some reason I never did. I'm going to have to do that so that I can actually keep talking past a certain amount of time. But anyway, I've been talking long enough. It's clear that we need to do something about all of this nonsense that's been taking place in our country. We need to restore it to being an actual democratic republic where the government represents the interests of the people. And we need to chase these awful people, whatever they are, out of government once and for all, and never forget what they have done to this country and to the world, and never let them have it back, because we need to restore freedom. That's the bottom line. Anyway, I better end it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what we had to say. If you did, again, you can hit the like button, or you can also, I would love to hear from you guys. Comment. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already. And, I guess we'll see you guys in the next one. ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางปะกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรมจำพราก